Welcome to 5D All Day. I'm Danielle Kane. I'm so excited to have um, you guys with us today for another episode or whatever we want to call this, a nice chat. It is February 28th, and I can't even believe that we're going to be entering into spring very soon. So I would love for us to have like a nice little chat today. We have a smaller group, which is totally fine. But what we like to do is go into all the experiences of how people came to Spirit Calling and how these conversations are even possible. So we'll start off with let's Alstein. You want to start first, or do you want Maddie to go?
Uh, you will have to navigate me to what you want me to talk
Yeah,
about.
just tell us a little bit how you found Spirit Calling
Okay.
and just a little bit about, yourself and why you were called to meet with our group.
Okay. So I got into the self-improvement journey, I think, probably around 2008, a long time ago. And it was more on the self-improvement than the spiritual side, but eventually the self-improvement side got me in touch with meditation. And I learned how to meditate really, really easily. And from everybody else that I talked to, they had a really hard time with it. Um, that evolved to atheism, and then maybe questioning, okay, well, maybe atheism is not what I believe, and agnosticism is what I believe, and then diving in a little into spirituality. And I think 2 years ago, I started watching a lot of videos on life after death, NDEs. And then I think I came across Alex show, I think sometime 2 years ago, and he does some NDE stuff, and he has other subcategories. And as I was watching people who did channels, I came across her work, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna let me sign up for the spiritual calling community. I feel somehow called to attend. I don't know why, but I'll join in, and
I love it.
that's what brought me here. So,
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm really kind of curious, like dabble into like your path a little bit. That sounds
yeah.
like fun, and this is like a perfect time to do that. All right, Maddie, tell us a little bit about again how you found Spirit Calling and a little bit about your journey that you're on now, or however you would like to share.
Okay, well, I love telling the story about, how me and Pamela met. I go to this shamanic journeying drum circle at like a local Universalist church, and she randomly one night, and that's when we met, and she was really cool and everything, but then after that, we went our separate ways. And a few months later, we ran into each other again,
Mhm.
just randomly in a parking lot, and we both just felt like it was kind of maybe a sign or something that I should join their community, and so I did, and it's I was gonna say it's been sunshine and roses ever since, but that wouldn't be necessarily true. I've definitely had my ups and downs and stuff, but throughout my journey since then, I feel like spirit calling has definitely been a major like resource tool. I don't know, I can't think of a word that feels right, but just like a really good support system for me.
Yeah, agree 100%. I'm going to share a little bit about mine. I been about on this awakening journey, if we want to call this a conscious awakening, since probably 2017, 18. I was pregnant with my last child, my son Matson, and was going through a really tough time. And really just didn't was really contemplating life, and I needed something. I didn't really grow up with any religion. I felt like I was kind of in this hamster wheel, like we just have to work, work, work all the time, and that's all that there is. And then when I got a chance to tap into spirituality to some level, and I got into quantum healing hypnosis, I was able to see things from a different perspective, and it completely opened my probably my crown, chakra, and I just wanted to know more and more and more about all these things that I never even heard of before. And then both my husband and I were kind of on our parallel journey. And then Pamela came into our lives at our gym, and she told me to check out Spirit Calling. And then this has been like the most amazing community because you can at least have conversation without judgment. And I can't just talk to like anybody about the stuff that we talk about because they're like, I don't get it. A lot of them don't understand it. And then indoor, they think we're crazy. And people are just so stuck in the brainwashing and or slash hypnosis that we were all kind of like under. That's how I see it. I feel like I woke up from like my sleep, like a light sleep. So that's kind of been my journey. And then I just wanted to continue to have conversations just because like you said, Alstine, I was really interested in like the atheism, like, your path, like how did you grow up? I really am curious as to like how did your parents raise you? How did you feel about that? Were they comfortable with you exploring, spirituality, religion, or what was that like?
Oh, sorry, I failed to mention that, but I was raised Catholic, and my
Okay.
my my family is ethnically I'm Indian.
Yeah.
So my family was raised Catholic in India, and they are, if we can go 7 days a week to church, we're going 7 days a week to church.
Wow.
We didn't get to go 7 days a week, thankfully. We were only told to go, once a week to church. But we were raised in Catholic school, and we learned the dogma of the church. And I was, fully devout until I think 2008. I would go to church weekly. I actually taught Sunday school for 3 years, and then I was like,
Really?
I'm not believing what I'm learning and teaching kids, and
What
I'm
happened? Tell me a little. Let's backtrack because I find this fabulous. My husband's from a Irish Catholic family too, and at what point where do you start to realize like I'm just following like orders, like this is just how things are run here, and then where you're starting to be like, I think this isn't really everything. Tell me what you felt.
what's it 2000? Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember the dates, but basically, I had a girl break my heart,
Oh,
and
those girls.
it always goes back to relationships, right?
That's
But
okay. That's how we
no,
learn,
it's
right?
part of the journey. So I had a girl break my heart pretty badly, and she said some things that made me probe why I was acting a certain way.
Okay.
And so I got into I talked to one of my girlfriends about this when that happened, and she suggested, go to this website. It's basically a men improvement website. And I went onto it and then found some literature that was intriguing and then dived into it. And as I dived into it, I started to change my behavior and my patterns.
Hmm.
Um, and so that led me to understanding my biological nature as a man, and from a reptilian side. Uh,
Okay.
and then I dove into that dark side for a while.
Now, how did you discover that? So, for people that might be watching and then not understanding, let's backtrack just a tad if you don't mind sharing, because this
Right.
might be a little bit of vulnerability here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What type of behaviors coming from your, I guess, religious background were you noticing that was kind of inhibiting you in this relationship?
Uh, adherence to authority, adherence to the social rules and the social norms of society, whatever they were.
Hmm.
Being a nice person, compliance.
Hmm.
And so all of those things, some of them were religious, some of them were cultural issues with family and my ethnicity. Some of them were because I was living in the US. Some of them were the niceties of being an American and being nice to people.
Hmm.
And so a lot of those behaviors, still in the church, but some in in society in general, were instilled in me, and I
Okay.
accepted them.
Yeah.
And as I was tapping into my reptilian side and behaviors, I was starting to counteract that. And it's a dark side. Like you can get into it, but
Sure.
then you don't care about people, and you only
Hmm.
care about yourself and your ego. So I explored my ego significantly, And as I explored my ego, I enjoyed it completely. But then at the same time, there was a association with people and humanity that I grew into. And then, so that took me down the path of atheism for a while because I was like, there is no God. There is no other outside of what we can see in the material world. And then as I started to meditate, I started to develop some sense of compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was like, well, maybe I'm not atheist after all.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. So when you say reptilian side, did you do any background on like being a star seed, like your
No,
origins?
I'm not talking about reptilian from this the aspect of like um uh, aliens or star seeds or anything that. I'm talking about like
More
the
the
idea
dark.
of the reptilian brain and
Gotcha.
how are we wired for, man and woman exist to procreate.
Right.
Something religious. Man wants to spread his seed, and that's all he wants to do. And
Gotcha.
women want to find a good partner and procreate and take care of their offspring.
Right.
And that particular reptilian side. And
Gotcha.
um, understanding those dynamics at a logical level, diving into Darwinism, and, um, and all of those reptilian aspects of life is what I started following, and that also tied into atheism because there was no meaning to life um, with that philosophy.
Right. I see. Because you're just kind of like, I'm here to
I'm here.
go.
I'm a biological human being. So if
Yeah.
I'm man, then let's do what men do.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Maddie, I'm curious, how was your upbringing into where you are now? Like as far as like if you want to give us a little timeline on belief systems, if anything shifted for you.
Okay, I have this little joke. It makes me sound older than I am when I say I was born in the late 1900s.
Yeah.
But yes, I was born in the late 1900s. Um,
It's so
and
fun.
I moved around a lot. And like Christianity was kind of like the um, religion of my family, but it wasn't very strictly practiced. We went to like some plays around Christmas time, and like sometimes certain things were mentioned or whatever, but it wasn't very strict. Um, and so I didn't really have much spiritual ideation to or whatever, like at a young age. Um, Then I had my own, I guess, kind of NDE, near-death experience, when I was 18. And so I got more into religion after that. And because, like, Christianity and, like, Jesus and particularly and stuff is, like, all I really knew about,
Hmm.
I kind of really dove into that and, like, started listening to the music and, like, would strictly, like, in the car, like, only have that radio station on and like read like books about it and different things like that. Um, but eventually it like evolved more into like when I would pray and stuff, I would pray very authentically and I would say like, like God, are you like a man in the clouds? And like, why did this happen or why did that happen? Like I would like just be very authentic. And then I always say to people like be careful what you wish for because like I was asking like very intense questions and different things and then I feel like information and like different things and I started being able to like hear like clair senses and like see
Mm.
things and feel things and but it was when I look back I realized like I was asking for all of it pretty much. I was
Hmm.
asking for like a deeper understanding of things and stuff. And so I would say from like 2011 to present day is really what I would call like my spiritual awakening journey that
Hmm.
I was like kind of consciously undergoing.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you would say your parents would kind of participate in the main holidays? but there was no set like um church outings like on Sunday or whatnot.
No, not every Sunday. Like, is it just like maybe around Easter, Christmas time, we would go to church, go to plays, different things like that.
Okay. Okay. Was your family very open to you exploring whatever you wanted? How did they take?
No, I would say from 2011 to present day, I've been in and out of the hospital like over 2 dozen times, and I don't really blame them because like I didn't even understand like what I was experiencing and my different behaviors and things like that. So they were getting worried about me and just constantly sending me to like psych wards and stuff.
Hmm.
When I would, there was a time where I was just like walking to the woods, and I would spend hours just walking in the woods and listening to the sounds and I just wanted to be in nature.
Hmm.
And like I said, I would spend hours doing that, and I would come home and was getting blisters on my feet. And so I was just kind of like blindly going into the unknown,
Hmm.
and just kind of, and then like at the same time a breakdown of like I guess my old mental construct and everything was happening, and then a new one was like trying to like you
Emerge.
know uh come into existence or whatever. And so the balance of it all was just really wacky. And so I was having like manic episodes and depressive episodes and what they call like psychosis. And me at the time trying to uh make sense of like different energies and things I was feeling. Um, I was saying that I thought I was experiencing like angels and demons and aliens and things like that. So, like, of course, my family was like, okay, time to go to the hospital. Like, anytime
Mm-hmm.
was honest about something, or there was times where I was like felt paranoid about them, and so it was just a very wacky, strange journey. But like how they say like hindsight's 2020 and everything.
Yeah.
At least now, like when I look back, I feel like it makes a lot more sense, and I don't regret anything, and I'm grateful for it all. And it just seems like when I look back, it seems like a really crazy like adventure that
Hmm.
I threw myself into.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Well,
that's that.
I think that, I I can kind of relate. I've had some family members that have had situations where it's been similar, the depression, and like the first thing that my family knew what to do was immediately go to the medical route. We need to get on medicine. There's something wrong. We need to control whatever's happening here. And I don't
Yeah,
think we're equipped to um, allow the person to have these expressions and share and learn from them. We just immediately assume that it's bad. And I think that again, parents just assume that this is what you have to do. And it's when what I found is when we're removing these things that kind of I'm not saying that medicines they have a purpose, right? But there's also a sense of like, let's get to the root
yeah,
of why this is happening. And I think that we have to identify that as quickly as we can with whatever support we can. So we're not just putting band-aids on top of it, but your soul sought this journey anyway, even with going in those experiences. I think it's really great that you reflect now on that you wouldn't change anything, because even sometimes the worst experiences that I've gone through personally, I would not be here today, and I would not be in the thought mindset and openness that I am now had I had not been through all that. So
yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. What about you, Alstein? What do you think about that as far as growing up and the influence of your family? Did that affect any of did they have a strong influence on your behavior in addition to your own journey?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I'm the black sheep of the family because I left the church and
Yeah,
I'm not afraid to speak up about it.
good.
Um, and in some ways, because I'm strong-willed and strong opinionated, I've given my cousins of my generation the ability to say, well, Alston's not doing it, so why can't I do it?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but they definitely influenced my belief system, as I was growing up. And I think, I think I was probably 25, 28. I think 28 was when I actually left the church.
Pamela wrote Alston, the family disruptor. It's funny.
Uh, that's funny.
I love it. I'm laughing. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
So yeah, they definitely influenced my behavior to up to a point, and they still are very practicing Catholics. I've just accepted that, like, hey, I'm not going to try to change you, but from time to time, I'll throw in a video here and there just to see if that triggers a bell or if it opens your mind. But they're pretty close-minded into their way of being, and I've just accepted that as that's the way they choose to be, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, let's bridge into that because I'm curious even for both of you guys what you said like you're the black sheep. I mean, I was never the black sheep. I was like I kind of was someone like you, a very big people pleaser.
Hmm.
Like I saw what happened if you stepped out of line. So I didn't want any of that. I just wanted to do good things and get good grades and just try to succeed in life with whatever I thought that was. Both my parents were entrepreneurs and I saw how hard they worked and I felt like, especially with my human design being a generator, I'm like, I can do that. I can work. Meanwhile, all these traumas, they don't exist. I'm just going to power through it, and I'm just going to do whatever I can do to please my family. And I just remember having this deep sense that if I didn't do this, my parents would not love me. There was always this sense of like, they are, for some reason I have to do this or I'm gonna be like banished from the family. And for some reason also I felt like they were gonna have to take care of me. I didn't think I could ever live on my own. I thought that my parents were gonna have to, take care of me. I struggled in school when I was very young. But all these feelings, these deep, heavy feelings of not being loved, and I needed to have that reciprocation of love, and then doing a little bit of exploration later
Hmm.
on as I went through my spiritual journey. I had come into actually like a shamanic journey to some level that I had been um, burned in a house. That's what the visual I got was I was burned by my family for speaking out, speaking my truth. So, a lot of these things that behaviors that we carry, whether they're ancestral or we carry them from wherever, however we receive the information, my behavior dictated that a lot until now, until honestly COVID happened, and then I was no longer able to participate in complying to be people pleasing because I'm like, I see something so different than what my family was seeing that I just have to be me. And what's great is thankfully there was a lot of love in my family that trumped, belief systems. So how do you guys get along? Does everybody get along in your family or is it kind
Yeah.
of,
For
especially during
me,
this time?
no, for me, there wasn't not love. It was like, oh, we accept him, but it was like he doesn't go to church.
Oh,
Church. So that was I wasn't not loved. I was just, you know,
like
uh
what, you weren't banished from the
I
household.
wasn't banished from the house.
Okay.
So I had it easy. I was just people would ask me questions. Now they're curious. And it's funny because when I go to family gatherings and there's a priest that is like, doing the things and they say, you don't want communion. It's like, yeah, I'm not Catholic.
No,
I don't,
okay.
I don't, I don't believe. And then right after that, they make a beeline to me, but not to try to convert me because they're curious how comfortable I am with it, and they just
Yeah.
ask me questions because they're not used to having, at least not in this country, not used to having people that don't believe.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
How
I'm
about you? How about you, Maddie? And you're in this awakening with your family, and do you talk about it? Is it something that's like I just don't go there. I just keep this in my community, which would be Spirit Calling or wherever. How do you manage with your family members and your journey?
Well, um, recently, I became estranged from my whole family.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Oh,
Um, but that's more because I noticed the cycle over, the past more than a decade now, like I mentioned, of being in and out of the hospitals and everything. And I realized, it's not their fault, but being in in the environment of just their beliefs and their way of life, their lifestyles and communication styles and things like that. Um, I it would be hard for me to try to explain it, but I always had this really strong pull of like, I need to break these cycles, these
mhm.
patterns, blah, blah, blah. And I would try to like find different things and then go back and like kind of share, like, I wanted to create like a better lifestyle for like my whole family, and for myself. And I wanted them to like come along for the journey. But, it was never really working out like that. And this pull just kept getting stronger and stronger of like an intuition thing of like kind of like I need to get out of here. Like
Yeah.
I need to per- hopefully it's just like a temporary thing, but it's like this intuition is just saying like I need to separate myself and I need to like really establish the foundations of who I really truly am, and in a like a healing environment and with nourishing relationships that foster that, being able to pursue that and everything.
Yes.
And just, you know, under I'm trying to use my words not necessarily wisely, but I don't want it to be like a good and bad or anything like that.
Right.
It's like they have their lifestyle, I have mine, and
Mhm.
I have expressed to the universe like what I desire and different things like that. And so I'm being like led on this different path. And for whatever reason right now, it's like I can't go down that path um when my energy is with them, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Like when I
I'm
focus,
100%. I think you said that perfectly. I mean, everybody, it's okay that they're on their journey,
yeah,
but you should not be withheld from living yours to the fullest.
yeah.
So are you in the transition of that now? Are you figuring that out as we speak?
Yeah, it's only been a couple months
Okay.
since the estrangement, and so it's like the whole time I've been kind of bouncing back and forth, like, am I doing something wrong? Like, is this the right thing? Is this the wrong thing? Blah blah blah. And so to answer your question, I'm still like navigating it and
Yeah.
figuring it out and everything.
You sound so clear though. I mean, yeah, and Pamela's cheering for you. Go Maddie in the comments. Like I can tell that you know exactly where you're going, but sometimes we just have to follow, the path up the mountain, wherever that is. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get there,
Hmm.
to find
Yeah.
out, and what God's plan is, to kind of having trust
Yeah,
in
it's like
that.
um when I tap into like intuition or faith or whatever, like it's like just a really quiet, like super, super loving impulse
Hmm.
that is like guiding, but it's not like words. It's like an energy of like it's really safe and it's really okay and it's really for your best to like go here, go there, but it's like it's like kind of scary because it's like I said, it's like it's not like words, it's not directions, it's like the energy is literally just kind of,
There's
and
an
then it's like, but
unknown quality
there's
to
a
it.
super unknown of just like,
Mhm.
well, this feels really good. I mean, I could just like follow it and see where it takes me. But then the, like thinking
And the
mind
brain
and the
kicks in, the
logical
ego
mind
is
is
like,
like,
no.
yeah, like what are you talking about? Like so yeah.
Absolutely. And Alston, you were talking a little bit about the ego too. How do you feel like this journey of living, breaking free from, the church and living who you are and how you live now. Uh, how are
Um,
you guided? Tell me a little bit about the people that are around you.
um, yeah, I mean, I've, how do I put this? My friendship circles have changed significantly, since just since I've moved to a different city. I've been here for maybe I think 9 years now, where I live in Richmond. Um, uh, Most of my friends are not spiritually inclined like I am, and so the more spiritual I get, the more I feel like I'm becoming an old man and staying indoors, and also because I have a home, I'm like, I don't want to go outside. I just want to stay here and do nothing and watch TV. I'm perfectly fine with that. It's the weirdest thing. I was never that way. I was always an extrovert, always going outside doing things.
Hmm.
Uh, I think, I don't know, maybe it's the joint between.
You could be hermiting a little bit, it might be just
I
what,
was thinking the same thing in my head. I was like, hermit mode, hermit phase.
yeah.
There's a little bit, there's a couple of different dynamics here. There's me being in a relationship right when COVID happened, and then that being my life partner, and then me getting a home, moving in with her, and then it's like I don't have to go out anymore. Everything's
Yeah.
perfect.
Like, why
Everything's
do I don't have to
comfortable.
try to
Yeah,
entertain people
exactly.
and
Right,
exactly.
right. So like there's a couple of different like nuances there, but I also know that like there's not a lot of people that are spiritually there are people that are spiritually inclined in Richmond. In this way, there are societies out there, but they're not at my age level. And so meeting people that are open to these things immediately is hard to find. But
Mm,
one of the things I've learned just from past experience of expectations is and going through spirit calling and being aware of what's happening now in this time period of end of February 2025, start of March is like um, one, I'm going to share my truth whenever I feel called to
mhm.
share it. I don't really care what the other person thinks of me and my mental state. Um, if I feel inclined to share it and share my truth, even if they have their facial features say, "Oh," it doesn't bother me
Yeah.
because I've learned from this life experience when I was studying my reptilian side how not to care so
Hmm.
that I can bring that experience. I not how to care, not how not to not how not to care about people, but how not to care about what people
The people
say about
say.
me,
Hmm.
because what people say about me is none of my business. Um, so I've learned how not to care, and so I just share, like, if I feel inclined to say, hey, you should be aware this is what we're going through. So practice this, practice that. I do that on my personal Facebook page. Not many people like it. Not people don't notice it. Some people like it, reach out. I'm waiting for, as people become awakened, they'll say, like, yeah, he was talking about that weird thing, but maybe I should reach out to him. And then there's a door opened and a passageway. So for me, that's me practicing what I believe, practicing putting myself out there, but also practicing some heart resonance with what I believe to the external world, and not keeping it within. Because my guidance from psychics that I've visited, and I openly talk to people about psychics that I visit, and they think I'm insecure or scared. And sometimes there is some aspect to that, but is that, my job is to be out there, is to go out and be out with people, not to be a hermit, even though I
Hmm.
like being a hermit.
I love it. I love it. I think I love hearing all of your journeys because I think part of us all, like, there is this sense of alone. I've always kind of felt just different. Like, I just felt like there was nobody that was quite like me, that I could really completely be myself. I mean, my husband is amazing and I am like 100% myself, but as far as like compatibility, as far as like likes and interests, we are like complete opposites, which is great. I mean, I love that. Like, there's qualities about, he's just got these amazing qualities that I wish I had, but I don't even like. care to compete because he's just a different human. But when it comes down to the way that I think, the things that I want to talk about, like I'm a very deep thinker and passionate, and not many people can go there. So
Mhm.
it's like I feel you when it comes to this journey because as you start to strip away, I had to strip away a lot of beliefs, like right now about what's about to happen and unfold. And Pamela, I loved what you put out there um, on YouTube. So if anyone hasn't seen it, she put out a
Yes.
7 minute
Yeah.
video about channeled message that's coming out. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for whatever's to come, and I'm totally okay if people that may I've let go of so many figures, idols, whatever you want to call them. I've stripped that. I had years of stripping that away. So I'm like prepared for whatever that might be. I might not be prepared for the biggest reveal, but I think for so long I've been seeking these deeper connections, these deeper truths that has been kind of a soul journey and wanting so deeply and badly to talk to people about it. And it's nice to have this space to be even able to say like how we feel about religion or our upbringing, almost like, oh my God, I'm allowed to talk about that. I was on a podcast and someone wanted me to share like what really like this inner child that I had to heal and all this stuff about complying with my parents, and I mean, there was deep stuff that happened in my childhood that like I've totally didn't even think about. And the minute that I started going through my healing journey, we went back to that little child who was terrified of life and saw what happened if you did anything wrong. And so it's like speaking out to get past that, to really come to the essence of who we really are. And that we're always that version of ourselves, right? We're always these curious beings that should be exploring opportunities that are calling us that we don't even know, rather than closing and boxing ourselves in. I was listening to this homeopathy course, and she's like, once you know, like these remedies of getting to the root cause, you can't go back. Like you can't go back to something and put the band-aid on it anymore.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys felt like that was spirituality. Like I saw it already. It's like the subliminal message. Like I can't not see you know, the picture of the elephant in the room. Like it's there.
Mhm.
So I accept that is to be my truth. So that's a little bit about, kind of what I felt has happened in this spiritual awakening and belief systems, stripping away. Um, how are you guys with what's kind of surfacing out there? How are you feeling? Whoever wants to go first.
I definitely get triggered, but then I'm also working with my working with my heart consciousness and healing those triggers, or giving love to actively practicing giving love to things I disagree with the world,
Mm-hmm.
or at least my perspective of, mostly politics, but other things that might pop up and like, oh, I don't like that, give
Mm-hmm.
love to that. So there's definitely some deep triggers here that I'm working through to heal those beliefs because I know at some point in time, if I'm getting triggered, it's a reflection of myself. I've
Yeah.
got to heal it. I've got to put it out there. I've got to try.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my spiritual growth in terms of peeling the onion and what's upcoming. I mean, it's really hard because I've done so much self work and I've significantly improved my sense of self worth. Like it's really hard to phase me. It's got to be something like I don't know, like really personal, like someone a loved one that you attack, and then I'm like, okay, I'm triggered, and then
Mm-hmm.
I've really got to like work to forgive you.
Mm-hmm. The triggers are really hard, but like you said, it's kind of like a reflection of what you have to work on.
Hmm.
I think that the ones that are the most intimate are the hardest. Like for me, like I was highly triggered by my mother. And it was always involving health. She's trying to validate her health decisions, and I'm validating my health decisions, and she's extremely unhealthy. So it's really hard to kind of separate and be like, okay, we disagree.
Hmm.
I don't want to be triggered and be upset to try to make my point across. I'm just going to be like, you, this is the choices that you made in life. And politically, like, I just think like we've been just so brainwashed to watch a TV
Hmm.
and that to be the truth, you know? Like if we had no TVs, none of this stuff would even matter. We wouldn't know. Like I wouldn't know that there was a pandemic out my window in 2020. People weren't on the ground lying there struggling. I just wouldn't know it. So I think that sometimes we buy in so much to whatever anybody says to put fear in rather than allowing our own internal navigator guide us through that process of understanding why are
Hmm.
we experiencing what we're going through on a collective level. And that's just my experience. Like I really had to break down why someone felt so strongly this way and why I'm feeling this way. Like why is there all this happening? And it's all about like if you think about it, television, right? Tele-vision, channels, programming.
I've never heard that before. That's cool.
Yes. I mean, it's so deep. And that's what's happening right now is that when we tell people to lay off especially the mainstream media, I mean, we've been propagandized for centuries. Um, and and they're very good at it. They're very good at it. The screens, I mean, my kids have very limited screen time because if we give it to them, it's like we lose them. I'm kidding you not. The blue screen or whatever it is, like a casino, when someone is an addict or whatever at a casino and they blow everything away, my kids become something else. And it's been actually mentioned that they have this technology to basically suck people in so
Hmm.
they're not doing anything. Of course, we let them play, but I mean, they don't know how to step out of it. So we just have to completely remove it. So if you think about how addicting the television or program or whatever it is that we're watching, and then we're getting built into all this fear, that creates a belief system that, oh my God, this is happening. I have to do this. I have to take these precautions. I have to, and all of a sudden we get out of an alignment of what's inside, what tells us what to do, you know? So regardless of where anyone believes on that, that was my journey with my family because we navigate very differently when it comes to health and our own personal health. But to your point, Maddie, I couldn't live with my parents. I just couldn't. It would be too rough. Like their lifestyle is just not my lifestyle, so I couldn't live with them. But I love them. I love to take vacations with them. And I think having a safe boundary, like having time together when necessary, but also having a safe place. And I think that's something that you're kind of going through right now, where you know what you like, you know what you need, and now you're ready to take those steps that's going to foster the direction that you need, would you say?
Yeah, like I mentioned, it was like I was always kind of trying to like drag them along with me, sort of, or like convince them to like, you know, like be companions on the journey. But then it's like I'm finally listening to the pull that's just like, you know, like can't control them, can't force them, like let's just go,
Hmm.
and I feel like since I've made this decision, I feel like I've made a lot of progress with like healing, just my psyche, and my energetic body, whatever you want to call it. So it's like I don't have that, for lack of a better word, like baggage of like trying to like save them, or you know, like I just like realize like they have their own free will and they're making their own choices and they have their own path. And just because, it's different and stuff doesn't mean that my way's the right way, their way's the wrong way, blah, blah, blah. It's just I have my life, they have their life. And now that I'm like prioritizing, like my own like soul's desires and callings and stuff, it just feels so much like in alignment with who I really am, and like creating and living like the life of my dreams.
That's amazing. Seriously, you are, I swear, you're the Yoda of the group. You really bring such balance. Like I feel like you're one of the most balanced people I've ever met. I don't know if you realize that because you've taken a full circle since you've come here. And you come because everything that you said, you can't change anybody. That's the worst part. I think that was the biggest, that's what COVID did. Because you're like, see something over there, like, don't you see the elephant? Don't you see? You want to tell everybody, look at the elephant. It's right there. How can you not see it? That's like the worst thing you can do. Because if they're not ready to see it, it's not their time. It's not their choice. It's not the path that they chose. So you're respecting your parent, your family on their decision, and you're saying, but I'm going to take what's best for me, and I'm going to do and foster that relationship that I have with myself now so I can grow. And that's I think one of the it's like a surrender. It's like put the ego away, put the I have to be right, aside, and let's just move forward in the direction that's best. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot to get a person there. Because I think, like, look at the world. The world has to be right. It's so divided right now, divided than it's ever been, over something, in my opinion. This is, again, my opinion. I really think that these characters are playing like a play. Like, I really see, like Michael was saying, it's like Wizard of Oz. It's they they all could be best buddies behind this curtain, and here we're all like, this chaos is happening in the world. It's like we have no idea what we're witnessing. We really don't. What happens if it's all a movie? And it's crazy, but at the end of the day, it's affecting the collective. But was this what we wanted? Like, I really think deeply about, like, did we plan this? Is this how we wanted to wake up? The masses, like, we had to make it so dramatic or
I mean, we
whatever it
did
is.
plan it. We just didn't weren't aware that we planned
We just weren't aware that we planned it. We forgot before we came here, and it's like, hey, we chose to do this crazy ride. But at the same time, I'm so glad that I can at least consciously be aware that what I'm seeing might not be true. Like before, I would buy into something and get frustrated and be so mad and triggered and upset. Now I'm just kind of like, okay, like I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna move on. I got to focus on my reality now. I got to go inside. Like you said
Mhm.
before about meditating, like really getting into being at peace and connection with our own vibration. Do you have a strategy? Any of you guys have a strategy of how to get calm? Do you have breathing techniques? Do you have something that you could share for anyone that might be triggered?
I just I feel like very for some reason this feels like a bomb, not a bomb, but like something big that wants to come out. But uh when you were just talking, it made me think of something I was thinking about last night. How I've heard a lot of people talk about how like Earth is like a
Flat.
school.
I was gonna say
But
you're just flat.
but
That's a
like
whole other thing.
um I've heard people say that it's like a school and almost like a prison, or that like our higher self or souls, whatever we were before we, incarnated as human and living on this planet, like as apparently a lot of people believe that it's like almost like a punishment or we have to learn a lot of things before we can go back to whatever
Hmm.
is beyond and things like that. But for whatever reason, I just had a big switch last night that I was like, okay, maybe it's that, but what if instead, like there's all these souls that are like waiting in line, like the earth experience is like a super blessing and it's like a luxury. And like when it's your turn to like be able to be born as like a human or something, it's like um like a vacation. It's like for like the soul experience of Earth, like you forget everything and you're a human and you have all this experience and sensations and vision and sight and all this stuff. And so I'm like just starting to integrate kind of that belief, and it feels really good to look at it like that, like as just like an just an awesome like gift of life. And it makes me really excited to like go about versus kind of the mentality of like I have to learn things and I have to like somehow
Like master something.
like master something or
They all love you, by the way. Every Michael's saying that's what's happening, Maddie. Souls are lining up. Pamela just loves you. I scratch my head wondering why I chose such a difficult life. That's something else wrote. But keep going, keep going.
Well, yeah, even the hard times and stuff, you think about like movies and everything, and like great movies, like they're great because of all the like the rising
Yeah.
action and the falling action and the like there's sad scenes and there's scary scenes and there's all this stuff. So it's like maybe your soul like actually chose kind of like a complex, complicated life because you were into that. Like just like
Yeah.
people that are into like going to see horror movies and stuff, like maybe your soul was like, yeah, like that sounds like it's gonna be fun. Even though like now that you're in it, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking? Kind of
Yeah.
thing. But
I completely resonate with that. And I've read some books too on people that have had like near death experience and or hypnosis sessions where not even like when we transition, it's like they're like trying to tell everybody we're okay, and then you're off into whatever's next. It's not even like a death, it's just a transition. And that, we do choose what the soul desires. I want to experience that. I can handle that. I always say like the people that have the hardest life were like the most mastered person on the other side. They're like, all right, I'm ready. I can handle this. I can handle that. And then when we get here, we're like, what the heck happened? Like, what am I doing? So I hear you. I think that, I, I agree. Like, I think we're all there. I've been told that there's plenty of souls ready to come and experience this. Again, I love the belief. I'm very open. I think it's so great to wonder, right? Because we really don't know. We're not maybe ever meant to know, but being curious and open-minded to the possibility and liking that, like liking what it feels like. What do you know what your human design is? Yeah.
no, I haven't looked that up yet. I'm not
I
sure.
would like to know because like when I know something feels right, I feel it right here in my gut. And I'm a generator, so that's like a gut response. Like I'll almost know. And I'm gonna be honest, I've like totally like avoided any because everyone always told me you can't be emotional, Danielle. You can't use your emotions. You need to, you know, be a critical thinker, blah blah blah. Meanwhile, that was like what was like my navigation system was my emotions and what my gut feeling about everything. And I probably could have avoided a lot of problems had I had listened, but that's what this is all about. That's what the discovery is. Real quick, Alston, you were talking about meditation. I'd
Mhm.
like to know what you would do. You know, okay, there's tons of people that I know that are going through these shifts of we're all being triggered still. Like it's a process, of getting through them. What would you do, or what do you do when you want to get past those things in meditation? Do you have a process?
Well, the first thing I say, I have to say, whenever you speak about meditation, because it comes really easy to me. I must have done something in my other lifetimes that
Maybe it's just something
did
that
that.
you're that's just part of who you are. Hmm.
I'm really good. But one thing I need, well, because people come to me for meditation advice, and this is what I always tell them. Meditation works for everyone differently. So whenever you talk to somebody that has meditative experience, do not judge yourself or set goals for yourself based on their experience. Your experience is subjective to what you've grown up with and what you've experienced before.
Mhm.
So remember, it's very subjective and it's to you. You can
Hmm.
try a skill set out. There are so many skills that you have. You can try a skill set out. If you don't like it, if it doesn't resonate with you, move on to something else. What
Hmm.
resonates with me when I first started doesn't resonate with me now. So I
Okay.
always try something different. And
That's
when
really nice that you shared that too.
thank you. And when I like it, I stick with it. When I get bored with it, I go back to either something I used to in the past or I find something new that's intriguing for the moment. And I don't judge myself if I don't enjoy it. Uh, if I enjoyed it yesterday and I don't enjoy it today. So remember that. So currently, what I do is because I'm actively practicing to open up my heart, is
Hmm.
the first and my pineal gland. So Pamela, I'm waiting for that meditation.
You
Um,
hear that, Pamela? We're waiting.
so the first thing I do from what I've seen from other people is I breathe in through my nose, and that starts and through my nose, and I imagine it going in through my eye. So that triggers my pineal gland a little bit, and then I breathe out. I do that a couple of times to activate that.
Hmm.
I put my hands on my chest, and when I'm ready, when this is activated, then I start going over here and focusing on breathing in through my nose and out through my nose with my hands on my chest.
Hmm.
And I can start to feel, a little bit of warmth and energy there. Okay, so
Yeah.
both of these are activated. And then I start to breathe out through my mouth. So I breathe in, hold for like 4 seconds, breathe, and then breathe out through my mouth for 4 seconds, and then just try to resonate everything in my body. And then I start to get, once I start to feel like, okay, it's expanding past in my torso,
Hmm.
then I start to think, because I've activated my pineal gland,
Hmm.
and I've activated my heart, and I start to give thoughts of gratitude, so that
Mm.
when I'm thinking of gratitude, I'm thinking of something I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the coffee. I'm grateful for this moment. I'm grateful for blah, 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 blah. I start to feel that through my breathing, through my heart. And then after I've done that, I start to give thoughts for other people that I know are having a hard time. So I'll
Hmm.
think of someone, and I will visualize them in a state that they are happy, or they are, whatever they're going through, the opposite of that.
Hmm.
And then I will send them love from my heart to them. So that's what I do.
That's great. You're a
To,
superstar. You're getting hearts and everything
oh,
for what you
you can't see
shared.
that, but that's what I do to send to my mind, my heart, to connect my heart, and then also to build that resonance in my field.
That's amazing. Do you do box? Is that the box? Do you box breathe that 4 seconds hold and then I like
Um,
box breathing, but I don't know if you call it that, but that's similar for
You
the
can
4 seconds
increase
hold.
it. You can increase it to whatever intensity you want. That's what I have a hard time breathing deeply for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So if you do nose breathing, to make your parasympathetic, to trigger that, you have to breathe in, and
Hmm.
your out breath has to be
Hmm.
longer than your in breath
Yeah.
to lower your heart rate, and to make yourself calmer. So it doesn't matter if you do 3-5, or at least I think it doesn't matter if you do 3-5 or 3-6. Breathe in for 3 and out for 6. But holding it is important, because it brings you centered in, and you
Hmm.
feel the presence of now. And then relieving it allows you to slowly relieve it through your mouth. It's hard for me to relieve it through my nose. So I first practice in and out through my nose. And then later, as I'm practicing the calming myself, it's through the mouth.
Wonderful. I love that. And see, that's how you get started. Some people that I had a really hard time meditating because I had a lot of thoughts going on in my head all the time. So I was one of those people. But when I started doing breath work, like you were describing, and then I do enjoy like a good guided meditation personally, because it just kind of like especially if it's a nice soothing voice. For me, I can kind of allow myself to drift a little bit and create those visuals. But I think that's great that you offer gratitude, and I loved how you play. I tend to find I place my hand naturally right over my heart as well. So I
It's
really
one of our
resonate.
senses. Why don't we use it? We're kinesthetic
Yeah,
people. We like touch. And if we touch here, you'll start to feel it. And then if you take your finger off, you'll start to, is the residue is still there up to a degree. And if you can bring attention to that, then you can still feel the finger there if you close your eyes.
yeah,
Then if it dissipates, then you put your finger back there, and then you can build sensation, your connection with your body, just like you do in yoga. When you move your body, you build a connection to
yeah.
that particular part. You can do that with your finger.
It's so amazing. Thank you. That was really special. I think that's something that anybody could do. I feel like we need like a bell. Like, like a conscious bell. Ding, everybody touch themselves somewhere. Let's get calm. Someone was saying like if everyone's pissed off, you're pissed off on the road, bing, we get the bell.
Mhm.
Remember in Trolls where they'd have that little, I don't know if any of you guys saw Trolls, but where they had the little watch where it was like hug time.
Mhm.
We should have something like that in the conscious ether. So if we feel like we're off, we could just set a moment of time to, get ourselves together. Oh, it looks like Jason's getting on now. Oh, you know what? He probably thought we were on a different time. Well, we'll say hi, bye. But I would love something like that, uh, to be able to settle us, but the key is knowing that the breath is there. Jason, oh my God, you're actually in an office today
Yeah,
and we're about to get off.
I know. I missed my timing, and for some reason, I thought that it was 11 o'clock my time. And I go to get on here right now, and I'm like, oh crap, it's 10 o'clock my time.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that was my bad.
No, I'm glad you jumped on real quick. We're gonna can I give you a few minutes? Because I'd love for you to just chime in real quick for at least taking the minute to connect with us. We had a very intimate session today. We talked a lot about religion. This would have been a good one too,
Yeah.
but how people's upbringings uh, affected them now, like how they became the person they became and the journey. And then we kind of talked about just what's happening in the world, maybe what's going to be unveiling itself and triggers and what we might do to calm ourselves when we get triggered. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's
Um,
interesting. An interesting topic for this week because I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, the society we live in right now with government, with school, like it's literally, I think religions are set up the same way government's set up, or
yeah.
vice versa,
It is definitely it's so interesting. So
right?
interesting. I mean, the education, like I told you, my son, we pulled him from school and it was like the easiest transition I've ever made. And he's just thriving and happy. And like maybe that was all for a reason for what's about to come. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trusting God that this was the in faith that this is what I needed to do
Right,
and was right for my family to handle what changes are going to happen.
right.
What are you going through? Are you going through a lot, like educationally now too?
No, it's not. We're doing good on that side of it, but I just feel like I've been having a lot of deep thoughts and conversations with myself and my guides of just, what does the world need to like be able to have this awakening that we have? Because once the masses awake, they won't be able to control it.
Yeah,
And it's just like the I guess the simple answer in a nutshell is we've got to stop judging. If
right.
judgment be removed, like holy shit, well, that would change everything.
Absolutely. Well, I think like I was saying earlier too, like people figures that whatever side, I'm just using this politically. Like I
Right,
really like if something bad were to come out about anybody, I mean, personally, I have removed attachments. I'm literally just the observer because I think that's going to be the hardest thing for many is the belief in these people who are showing these values that aren't really truly upholding those values that
right,
we thought that they had. That's just one idea that I think is going to come to light. But who knows how big that this scale is going to come, I don't know. I mean, I know the things that are out there that they're saying they're going to bring forward, but yeah, like I think at some point, like Pamela had mentioned, it's going to be nothing that anyone can deny
right.
once it's out there.
Right? And I think it's going to affect a lot deeper than people realize. Household names.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's all going to change when this stuff starts coming out.
Yep, yep. Actually, yeah. And Michael put this point out, pay attention to the ego and those who use fear as a tool. Absolutely. Like, and this is what's so great about you guys. And if this can go anywhere, I tell Pamela that the whole point of 5D all day is just to like put it out there for other people that might be like feeling like they need something. They need a place to talk about it and or hear something different. Maybe like I was explaining television is a tele-vision, right? And
Right,
everybody has the programming. And when I first heard that, I'm like, oh my gosh, not even that, the English language, how tricky the English language can
right.
be. And they say spelling, casting spells, it's mind blowing. The
Right.
things
It's
that
just
we just don't know that I've heard through videos about how the actual dictionary now and the words that mean things are actually not what they are.
right,
And you can go down this rabbit hole, right? But the fact that we can strip away, it's all about stripping away and not being attached. The
right.
attachments are the hardest thing.
I find that same thing with English spelling and manifesting. Like I want. What does that exactly mean? I want. That means you will always be wanting.
Yeah,
Like
that's
even
true.
though I want money, I want wealth. Well, you probably are going to have that for the rest of your life. That doesn't mean you're actually asking for the wealth or the money. You're asking to want the wealth. You're asking to want the money. You're asking to want the relationship. And so you're getting what you're asking for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just like I've struggled with that with my manifesting because it's like I really have to think like how do I word this?
Yeah.
Because the way the English language teaches us, it's hard. It's a little bit hard.
Well,
Yeah.
let me play with you for a second. Do you have, can I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh,
Yeah.
Give me something you want.
I want success in my relationships, and I want success in
Okay, pick one of those.
financially.
Okay. So you want success in finances, right?
Correct.
Do you have a number?
Yes, I do. I'd like to have a net worth of 5 million by 2027.
Okay. What will that give you?
It will give me the freedom to be able to do what I want to do,
Okay.
meaning what I choose to do at my desire, I guess.
Okay. So your what you should be in your mind and in your heart thinking is um, I have the freedom and the desire to do whatever I want. That's it. The path to get there is in your mind is what do you say, 5 million by
Yeah,
2027? Okay. But if you're asking for 5 million by 2027, but the universe is ready to give you 10 million by 2027, what are you going to say? No, 5 million. I don't need the extra five. I just want five. You're good.
right,
So the mental clarity is I'm grateful that I have the ability for the to I have the freedom. I forgot the words you used, but whatever words you used, you have that now because that's what it giving this money will for you will make you feel. So for me, I don't have a job. I've got some challenges because I over contributed to my 401k. I have that problem for last year. And you know, I don't know whether my bills for next month will be paid because I'm pretty close to that. Okay, I've got to tap into my savings account. So my those are my needs, those are my wants, but my practice daily is I'm so grateful that all my bills are paid. I'm so
Mm.
grateful that my 401k situation is resolved. I'm so grateful that my taxes are done on time. I'm so grateful that I'm fulfilling my act of service and living daily. Those are my heart-centered projections as I work through every day. And I know the path. I've got to do these things to knock those things off, but I'm not thinking about that because I'm feeling
Mm.
end result.
right.
Mm.
Yeah, I've literally have replaced the word want with will, and
I
it
would
does.
go a step further
It,
because what it gives you at the end is what you want to feel now.
Oh yeah, it's 111. Sorry. We've got comments going on
I've,
over here.
I've got
Everyone's
I've
talking
got
about abundance meditation. Let's
I've
do
got
it.
a I've got 1111 over here.
Yeah, that's good. That's just as good. I love it.
But
I hear
no,
you.
I feel like with kind of on that manifesting thing, it's like, I will be successful in my relationship. And then I continue to go through why I will be.
Okay.
And that kind of brings in the gratitude, brings in the success that we've had, brings in these things where, and that's kind of how I've changed that path of like using a lot of this English language of like what we're taught, when you're from a toddler, ask for what you want. I want a drink. I want that, and we're brought up that way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
I also, I mean, for me, I have been using prayer more. Like I have not come from a religious background, but I have been accepting myself to pray, like in a way that feels right to me. Like
Right.
I want to seek, I want to seek clarity. Can you please guide me, universe, God, whatever that may be? Please guide me into what my soul desires. Please allow, what I need with ease. Sometimes we need a little bit of grace because sometimes the road is really rocky.
Right.
But I found that it's okay to not only project what you want, which I think is great because I played with abundance and manifestation, which is great. But I also feel like we're not in control of a lot of things. Things are mapped out already.
Right.
And I think like even what Maddie said, sometimes she's asked, right? And you said you get what you want when you ask.
Mhm.
So I
Whether you
think
want it or not.
if you want it or not, right? And
That's
so
it's not always what you specifically asked for, but
right,
what the
that's the intent.
resonation
Mhm.
is. Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt.
Yeah, we were just talking. Pamela saying prayer is awesome, and so like I didn't think worthy. I didn't think I was worthy of prayer, to be honest. Like for years, I didn't think I was worthy of this existence. I don't know where that came from, but worthiness is a struggle that I've had for a long time. So and that goes with money too. And I've had money problems, and I'm thinking, okay, I want to get past these money problems, okay?
Right.
So
Well,
I feel
and,
you. I
and
think it's all going to change too. I think that the value of currency is completely, remember, currency is a vibration. I think
right.
it's all going to change. I really do.
Um, and back to that, it's like I had to go in 2020 to be where I'm at right now by 23, but I'm here. And you realize really fast, like, is this really what means the most to me? Is this really like what joy does it bring? I'm still working as hard. I hit these goals. I created these themes, and at the end of the day, it really does bring it into perspective. It was like, okay, this allows me to help more people around me. This allows to actually do what really, really makes me happy.
Absolutely.
And it's like one huge thing that I took from religion with me when I left religion was prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Those prayers, the style of prayer has changed dramatically. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like even from a toddler, I mean, that was a huge thing. We prayed every day over the food, over our house, over everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I carried that through, and as an adult, even though I'm not religious, those prayers now are worded a lot different. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that relationship with back then I thought it was my creator, but it's not a lot different now. It's source or my spirit guides. It's not a lot different, but that relationship has been there from a very young age, and I just felt like because I enjoy having those conversations with God or
Yeah.
with source or with creator, like the peace that I
Yeah.
feel when I have those conversations. I mean, it's undeniable.
So I want to read what Pamela is saying real quick. She's saying, I am so grateful for the financial freedom to choose whatever I desire to do during my day easily, effortlessly, and often. And she said, yes, an entrepreneur, we are so used to creating, achieving, striving. It's in our DNA. And I mean, I feel the same way. I have the struggle too with like taking this role that God has put me in and still feeling like I need to provide and like drive myself mad, because then I'm not fully present anywhere. And I'm like, no, I just need to stay in this lane right now. Like I'm being challenged to just stay in this lane, to trust that what I'm doing is going to keep me financially okay with my family and that I'm doing enough, you know?
Right.
And that might be it too. Do you feel like, are you doing enough? Do you feel like you have to do
Right.
more?
Right. It's that's part of the other equation. It's like you hit these goals, and 2 years, 3, 4 years ago, it was like that's all I dreamt of. Now I'm there. Like my
Hmm.
goals just grew, but am I becoming more greedy because of it? Or it's almost like hard to accept when you hit that goal. Like you can't accept that goal. That goal is automatically already changed, and that's part of the issue that I struggle with a little bit. Is like you're always waiting for the ball to drop on the other side. It's like, is it going to be taken away in one swoop, one bad business deal, one something? Like you're always in the back of your mind when you grow up without money and you work damn hard to get to have
Hmm.
some. Like does
Hmm.
that ever leave? But it's also kind of a fear based thing. It's like I'm not solely relying on like the experience. I'm not solely relying on these things. I got this fear based in my mind of like afraid of being broke.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Have you ever been broke?
I mean, I grew up very, very poor. When I was 27, I had less than 25 bucks to my name.
Wow.
Okay. So
It
you know
was
the feeling.
it
So
was a
there's
tough
still
time, but
that level of
I
let
was
that
going,
go.
yeah,
Let that go.
I was going to the what we call these little farm stands on the side of the road after 5 p.m. so I could get food to be able to eat. It was a
Yeah.
rough damn 6 months, and it was
Yeah.
like
But
there's
you know
all
that you would never let yourself get back to that point. And
right,
that's the thing is that you evolve, even if you have a loss, because like I've been there. I mean, I had to file bankruptcy because COVID shut me down, shut my
right,
businesses down. And like, we have children that we had to feed, all this stuff, right? And like, how are we going to pay our bills? And like, how are the things going to happen? And you know what? Like honestly, it all ended up working out. It's like it was like a reset. It was a strange reset, and then we just kind of moved on. And you build and you pivot, and your business could pivot. Who knows what tomorrow is going to bring? You might completely change your business in 30 days
right,
based on what happens in your creation of your
right.
path. So again, remember when you start to think of the past, that brings in fear. So, and too much in the future brings anxiety, right?
Yep.
So it's the infinite present. It's like, what can I bring today? And that's being fully, like you were saying that earlier, Alston, being fully present with today, because all we have is right now.
Mhm.
And you're doing it. Look at you. I'm so proud of you, but for real. Like, look at how successful you are. Let's be proud of the success. I'm grateful for the success that I brought in and how much that I don't have to be that 25-year-old anymore. Like I'm somebody new. I'm the version of myself that I always had in my mind. I think we forget to, because we're told when we're younger, don't give yourself a pat on the back. You shouldn't be, I mean, it's like that's not a good quality to be excited about,
Be
you know,
humble. Be
and
humble.
being humbled or whatever. Yeah, it's like we gotta like, and a lot of these corporations, even though you have your own, is always like striving for the next thing. All right, we got to move more. Like you can't even sit and be happy with what is going on sometimes. But we can change that right away. And I'm challenged with that all the time, even with my own other outside endeavors. Like I'm going to be happy with what I'm doing right now, and it's hard, but it's so true.
Right.
Hmm. All right, everybody. Does anybody have anything last minute shares before we go?
I'm glad you let me come on for a few minutes.
I
I
am
thought,
so
oh, I'm gonna.
glad.
Glad you
I
came
jumped
on.
into the meeting room. I thought, oh, it's gone
You
now.
guys are my
Oh,
favorite. Like I love all the people that show up. You guys have so much to say. It's so wise. Like I can't tell you like how it just every time I'm like I'm elevated for the rest of the weekend. So hopefully you guys are.
Only the weekend, not the week, not the next week.
I can't even believe we're in March. I'm like, what happened to February? Oh my gosh.
I
Well,
agree.
yeah, there we had a lot of comments today, so that I hope they stay because sometimes once this is gone, they disappear.
How
So,
do you see the comments? Is that just on your
you
side?
guys, are you on YouTube? If you're on YouTube and see the
Oh,
live as we're going, you'll see the
You have,
comments.
yeah, you have to have, sorry, I did wrong request.
Two.
You have to have you have to have two screens where you actually participate in the Zoom call and then another YouTube side. So you
Yeah,
okay.
so the
click on
I'm in
Zoom,
the
both.
Zoom.
yeah, our Zoom comments are different. That I don't think we have any Zoom comments today, but we have a lot of we have a lot of YouTube comments today, which is great. And a lot of people participated and they're excited about what we were saying. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, what did I say today? And then I go back and listen. And I'm like, oh wow, it all tied in so nicely together. And that's what it does. You just allow spirit to speak what it needs to say and how much we impact a lot of people that need this right now. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Spirit Calling Pamela for letting us have 5D all day. And if you're interested in checking this out and having these conversations with us, there's a 7-day free trial at spirit-calling.com. I encourage you to check it out, but you're always welcome to come in and listen. And we thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here today and jumping on last minute too and saying some things that I know a lot of people needed to hear.
Thanks, Danielle. I really enjoy these, so I sure appreciate you doing them.
Yay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Danielle.
Thank you guys. Have a
Thanks,
lovely
Patty.
day. See ya.
Bye,
Thank you
Jason.
everybody for who joined the chat. Michael, Pamela, John, who else was there? I think there was a Carla. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Have a nice weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.